for years, like over 5 to 10 years, I've been trying to figure out how to crack the code of goals. Setting goals and actually making them happen. And I would fall into the tendency of basically putting out these ridiculously big goals, trying to achieve them, just trying to make stuff happen, and nothing would happen. And I would just get disheartened and I would stop. I would just focus on output. I would get motivated for a little bit, and then I would completely stop after, a few days, maybe a few weeks. And I just came to a realization, most people, well, not realization recently, it's just something that has changed in the past year, maybe 2 years, and it's just changed my whole life in terms of growth and prosperity. And it comes to just like the way that you structure your goals, the way you structure your life, and how important goals really are to everything you do, right? And so a lot of people, there's a saying, like, most people don't even write down what they're trying to do, what they're trying to earn, any goals in general, right? And so when you think about that, that's crazy, because in every single life that you have, you're supposed to at least have direction. You're supposed to have an idea. If you don't even take the time to write it down, that's an investment of energy. And so you can't even put in the energy to write that down. That means you have to increase the likelihood that you're going to attain that goal. So how do you do that? To increase the likelihood of attaining that goal, you have to put in energy to attain it. You have to be specific. You need to be clear about where you're trying to go, what goal it is. If it's a health goal, a business goal, relationship goal, whatever type of goal it is, you need to be very specific. You need to write it down on paper. The reason why writing it down on paper and using a pen is a lot better than just having it on a computer is because it lets you get into that state of mind where you have flow. You really get into creative thinking, creative thoughts. On your computer, there's a lot of distractions. So I'd recommend everyone to get and invest in a really high quality notebook, like a Moleskine. Moleskine's really good. I've been using them for years. I got probably like over 50 Moleskine books that I've, just journaling, been obsessively kind of analyzing my life like a detective. That's kind of how you have to be when it comes to goals, right? So when it comes to goals, you need to look at, so you have to put the specifics down. You need to be thinking in terms of 10 years, right? That's long term, and be ridiculous with that. When you set that 10-year goal, be ridiculous. Don't make it like something that's gonna bore you. You want to be excited. You want to be excited to work towards that goal. You want it to push you to feel like, oh shit, this is something I'm gonna do. This is something that's exciting. You have to be creative, whether that's a business goal, whether that's creating the next Uber, whatever. You got to be super big with your goals. So then it comes down to the 5-year goal and then the 3-year goal. Now the thing is, anything beyond 3 years is kind of hard to really systemize and put a plan together, but it's good to have an idea to work towards and get you excited about. Now obviously then after that you have the 1-year goal, and then you have the 90-day increments. And I like to think about the 90-day increments because they help you reach that 10-year goal. You can really, if I'm going to go here in 10 years, then in terms of 90 days, what do I need to do to get to that 10-year period? And you're going to answer it. You're going to be able to look at the data, look at the information and so and so, and be like, I got to do this, and use AI, use the tools that you have to make that happen. Most people don't really sit down and analyze things. Now, once you have your 90-day increment, you actually have a date set and put for those 90 days. What you want to do after that is you basically want to start doing your day-to-day. You want to do day-to-day, for this day, I'm going to do this. Do max 3 tasks per day that work towards that goal, right? And look at the highest leverage activity. There's a thing called the Pareto principle, 80-20 rule, right? So you want to identify what's going to give you the highest leverage, the highest results. One thing in my life that has high leverage that I've only identified recently is media, content, like this right now. Doing one cold call for my business might be effective, but in terms of content, that I can reach 1 million people, I can only reach one person with a cold call. So you got to look at what do I have to put in the smallest input to receive the most output in terms of my goal, whatever goal that is. So yeah, that's another aspect to look into. And then your day to day, you need to look at what you need to do. And then that comes down to your identity, structuring your day around that goal, structuring to make sure you're maximizing, you're reaching your full potential each day to make it happen. And when it comes to goals, it's just, you can't control outputs, right? You can aim for outputs, but you can only control inputs. And if your inputs are good enough, and if you do it for a long enough time, if you can do it for 1,000+ days, I like to do a 1,000-day protocol, man. If you can sustain it and keep optimizing and improving by 1% increments for 1,000 days straight, you're gonna be able to hit your goal, especially if you break it up. I used to listen to Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. I used to listen to it every single day as a 33-minute long video. And I would listen, I may have listened to it 200, 300 times. And, you know, it didn't really click for me until maybe like the 200th time. And it's, you know, it talks about goals. It talks about, you know, positive thinking, your mentality, your mindset. And those things are really important. And they're an aspect of it. But you got to have a game plan. And you got to write down exactly where you're going. Most people just move aimlessly through life. They have no direction. So life is just going to give them their... Society is going to dictate what you do in your life then, and you're going to hate it. You're basically going to be a slave to your circumstance, and that's the worst place you can be in. So you got to intentionally put in direction in terms of where you're going to want to go, right? And so one of the biggest things is that you're basically the architect of your own reality. It just takes time for the results to show. You're literally the architect of your body, your health, your physical health, your mental health, your relationships, what car you drive, everything. You're in full control. You have 100% responsibility. But most people want to blame. Like I saw this other guy in my comments on one of my videos. He was like, oh, you know, I got a job, and if I start working hard, everyone in the office is gonna be like, oh, he's working too hard. Like, who gives a shit about who's working in the office, man? Like, that shit doesn't mean anything. I mean, do you want to improve your life, or do you want to care about what the fucking people in the office think? You know, you got to grab life by the balls, and you got to just do what you want to do. You know, you got to take risks. You know, for years, you could be there and people could think you're stupid. Your whole family could think you're a complete fucking idiot. And then one day it just clicks. One day it just makes sense. Or one day they should accept the fact that you're just doing this and you decided to do it. And they're like, you know what? He's fucking crazy. He's been at it for years. You know, we can't really do anything to change his mind. He's fucking persistent. Just let him keep going. You know, they'll just reach a point like over time. I mean, they're going to keep pushing things at you. You might be in a stage where your whole family's like, oh, go back to college, go get a job, go do that. But if you just stick it out long enough and you keep pushing, you keep showing up every single day, they see that you're waking up early. They see that you're not bullshitting and partying around. They're going to be like, yo, this guy's fucking serious, man. He's serious, you know? Like, and that's a great place to be in because it takes time for them they're going to keep pushing you to go to their safe path. And it's not out of a place of hatred. You know, I used to think like, oh fuck, you know, these people, they hate me, they're just haters, whatever. They think this because they you know, they don't want me to do well. It's just out of fear, right? They want you to be happy, and the path that you're taking is risky, right? But life's the ultimate risk, so you might as well live to the highest regard in your mind in terms of what you want to achieve. So just take the risk, take the opportunity, and stick it out. Most people like people just like I know people out the game now. They came in the game with me. What do I mean by the game? I mean they took that risk. They left the university. You know, I dropped out of university 4 times, man. I came back and I dropped out, came back, dropped out, came back, dropped out because my family kept pressuring me, and then I kept succumbing to their advice. And then I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm just gonna go do what I need to do. And you know what? It's working out. Thank God, praise God. But I just kept taking those chances, you know. And you know, people just gonna have to adapt. You're gonna have to be selfish, and it's gonna work out for people like your family and the people you care about in the end, especially if you're resilient and you're persistent. But point being said is you gotta just take that jump first. You gotta stick through. Most people just cop out. They might do it for 6 months, they might do it over their summer break, whatever, and then they go back to the system. You gotta just break the system. You gotta just keep at it for years and years. It might take, like I said, it can take 1,000 days. For me, it took, you know, like 8 years, and I'm not even there. I mean, like, look at the beautiful car we got right here. This is the Hyundai Kona, you know? But truth be said, like, I can basically do whatever I want. I'm a free man, thank God. You know, I make my own money when it comes to business. You know, I take care of my health. I train every single day. I dictate my own time. I dictate my own schedule. So that's just what it is. And the point is, this is just about momentum, right? I'm like 8 years into the game, maybe 9 years into the game of just taking that leap from leaving university and just dropping out and trying businesses. And most of my businesses fail. Just trying to figure out what type of mentality, what type of mindset, what type of principles I need to follow day to day to reach my goals. And now, thank God, I'm in a place where things are starting to come together in all areas of my life because I set the goals to do so. And if I was talking to my younger self, what I would tell them is, I would say, be very specific about each area of your life. When it comes to money, which is money, business, work, that's the same thing. That's one area. Then it comes to health, fitness, and diet. That's one area, right? And then relationships and family, that's another area. So those are 3 critical areas in your life, right? And so I get very specific about that. I'll start writing in books. I'd subtract more than I would add. I would remove everything that doesn't add value, man. You got to be a detective. You got to be ruthless. You got to remove the shit. Like, you're like a Formula 1 car, man. You know, if you're trying to get to that speed, you're trying to win that race, you know, you got to be optimal. You got to be aerodynamic. You got to be calculated. You know, you got to have like a fucking whole race team calculating every single metric of your life. You got to look at the data. You got to start tracking the data. You got to, that comes back. I'm building a software called Plus or Minus. It's going to be great. I mean, I use it every single day, multiple times a day. And it basically tracks your whole life. It basically, like, in the sense of like, it tracks it towards your goals, and it keeps you accountable to what you're trying to do. It's a great system. I literally use it every single day. And it basically changed my life, you know. But besides the point, I'm gonna be launching that soon. And yeah, you just gotta track the details. You gotta become obsessive. It's like I said, you're a Formula 1 team, man. You gotta win the race. Most people driving around in their beat-ass Toyota fucking without no engine, without even knowing where the course is, where they're trying to head, what race they're trying to win. They might, you know, like I'm saying, it's just, you gotta be very clear. Clarity wins, confusion kills. Confusion just kills everything. That's why I said, get a nice, one of the best investments you can do. Like I said, it's all about energy investment. You got to invest your time, your energy, your money, whether that's buying people's programs to learn more, getting more knowledge. Knowledge is power. You know, you just got to invest skin in the game. Get a notebook. A notebook's going to help you, and then write down things every single morning, every single night, throughout the whole day. Doesn't have to be like laid out for you. Like, the best notebooks I've used is not the ones that have it like they only give you like half a page for each day, and you have to follow their regimen. I just like it where it's completely blank, and you can decide how much you want to write per day. So if you want to write 15 pages in a day, doesn't mean you're writing a book. I mean, literally, like, you structured, okay, for the business, this is my KPIs, and you're just tracking, you're writing down notes. Okay, this book I read. And then the next day you might only write like 2 sentences. You understand? So get a blank page, but that's going to really help with your goals. And yeah, you are the architect of your own reality. I just wanted to just get this video out to you guys. Kind of just, you know, that's just been on my mind, my mentals. It's just a grand realization when it comes to your goals. You know, you really can dictate your future. And you guys are going to see the journey. You know, it's going to be a beautiful journey. Like, I finally started documenting things. Finally got out of my comfort zone to you know, push these things out, and I'm gonna show you guys the whole process, the whole journey, take you guys with me, you know, show you the ins and outs of building companies, building businesses, my struggles, my vices, how I overcame them, how I overcame addictions and stuff like that, just so you guys can benefit in your own life, because I've been there. I know how hard it can be, and you know, life's a bitch, man. It can be a bitch, but it can also be beautiful. So, you know, it's up to you how you play those cards. But yeah, this is one of the best views in Atlanta, man. I don't know if you can properly see that. But yeah, we're in Atlanta, Georgia right now. Beautiful, a lot of trees. That's Bucket over there. That's downtown. Just look at all those trees, man. Yeah. Peace. Plus or Minus is coming soon as well.